talked about angle pairs dealing with two lines and a transversal. And we did mention the property that they would have if the lines were parallel. So today we're going to really stress that. If A is parallel to B, there are only two angle measurements for all 8 ends of the angles. And they must be, what did we say yesterday? No? Supplementary. If I told you angle 1 was 90 degrees, angle 2 is also going to be what? 90 degrees. In fact, all of these would be what? 90 degrees. So it is possible that you would only have one measurement if that measurement was what? 90 to start with. If I came over here and I said angle 1 was 100, angle 4 is also what? Because they're vertical. Angle 5 would also be 100. Angle 8 would also be 100. How big would that make the rest of them? 80. Okay? So it's possible that there would be one measurement. If that one measurement was 90, then they're all going to be what? 90. Otherwise, there would be two measurements. And it would fill in all 8 of those spaces. Corresponding angles. We talked about these yesterday. Which angles are corresponding in my picture? Angle 1 and angle what? 5. Angle 2, angle 6, angle 3, and angle 7, and angle 4 and angle 8. These will always be congruent. So angle 1 will be congruent to angle 5. Angle 2 will be congruent to angle 6. Angle 3 will be congruent to angle 7. And angle 4 will be congruent to angle 8. Corresponding angles, if the lines are parallel, they will always be congruent. The converse of this is also true. The converse is this rule kind of backwards. The rule says if the lines are parallel, then the angles are congruent. The converse says if angle 6 is congruent to angle 2, what can you tell me about the two lines? That they would be parallel. So if you can show one pair of corresponding angles are congruent, then you can state that the two lines are parallel to each other. A converse is the statement going in the reverse order. What was in the if and the then get flipped around. If A is parallel to B, then same side interior angles are supplementary. What are my same side interior angles in the picture? Angle 3 and angle 5, and angle 4 and angle 6. So if the lines are parallel, the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 5 equals what? 180. The measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 6 equals 180. The converse of this is also true. If the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 5 equals 180 degrees, what can you tell me about the two lines? They're parallel to each other. So the rule works going both directions. Questions here? Alternate interior angles. Which are my alternate interior angles in my picture? Angle 3 and angle 6, and angle 4 and angle 5. If the lines are parallel, then angle 3 is congruent to angle 6, and angle 4 is congruent to angle 5. Again, the converse is also true. If I told you that angle 4 was congruent to angle 5, what could you tell me about my two lines? They're parallel to each other. Alternate exterior. Which are my alternate exteriors? Angle 1 and angle 8, and angle 2 and angle 7. If the lines are parallel, these will always be congruent. Angle 1 will be congruent to angle 8. Angle 2 will be congruent to angle 7. And again, the converse is also true. If I told you that 1 was congruent to 8, what could you tell me about my two lines? They're parallel to each other. So you can start out with parallel lines and know that your angles are congruent, or you can prove that the lines are parallel by showing that the angles are congruent. Questions? Yep. Everybody good? If they give me information about a picture, what am I going to do with that information? Put it in the picture. E is parallel to F, and I'm going to mark it. Angle 5 is 73 degrees. How many different angle measurements are there going to be here? 2. Let's do all the ones that are 73. What other angle is 73 degrees? Angle 2 because they're vertical. Angle 7. Why is angle 7 73 degrees? It's not vertical. What are 2 and 7? Alternate interior. What are 5 and 7? Corresponding. One or the other, but it would be 73 degrees. And angle 4 would also be what? 73 degrees. And there's lots of reasons that would get me there, but vertical angles would work. What does that mean all the rest of them are? All the rest of them are going to be 107. Questions to this point? Do need to be a little bit careful here. Although there are a lot of alternate interior and exterior angles, how many sets of lines are parallel? 2. This little triangle that's here are showing that these two lines are parallel to each other. So there's two transversals that are separate, crossing those parallel lines. I'm going to put the information in my picture. Angle 3 is 110. Angle 12 is 55. When you get a picture like this, do yourself a favor. Forget about part of it for a minute. Obviously, where that 110 is doesn't have anything to do with what I just covered up, does it? These are my two parallel lines. This is my transversal. How many different angle measurements are there going to be in that section? 2. What other angles are 110 degrees? Angle 8 is 110. Angle 6 is 110. And angle 1 is 110. Are you with me that far? How big would the other ones be? 180 minus 110, or 70 degrees. So 5, 2, 7, and 4 are all going to be, I don't know why they have angle 4 in there twice. Everybody with me? Forget about what's up here. Only focus on the part that's down here. This is my two parallel lines, and this is my transversal. So what other angles are going to be 55 degrees? Angle 15 is going to be 55. Angle 10 is going to be 55. And angle 13 is going to be 55. So 10, 13, and 15. And how would I find the other ones? 180 minus 55. So all the remaining angles are going to be 125 degrees. If you get a picture where there's more than one set of parallel lines in the picture, do yourself a favor. Cover up a chunk of it, do one section at a time. Fill in all the pieces you know, cover up that section, go on to the other section and look at it separately. You're less likely to make mistakes. Are you good? Can anybody tell me why then this angle right here and this angle right here are not congruent? They're alternate interior angles. Why would they not be congruent? That shows me for sure that these two lines are not parallel to each other, because those two measurements will have to be the same. Very good? Okay. Your assignment is out of your workbook. Is there one more? What happened to it on my thing? There it is. Sorry. Somehow I skipped it. How many sets of parallel lines are here? There's 2 sets of parallel lines. I still would recommend you do this in sections. I'm going to forget about this for a minute. Okay? Here's angle 5. They told me it was 2x minus 10. They told me angle 7 was x plus 15. I'll uncover this so I can put angle 6 in there. Angle 6 was 4y minus 100. Okay? Cover this back up for a minute. Let's mark all the angles that are congruent. This angle and this angle are going to be the same because they're vertical. This angle and this angle are going to be the same because they're alternate interior. And this angle and this angle are going to be the same because they're vertical. What does that tell me about 2x minus 10 and x plus 15? They equal each other. If, by chance, one of them had a mark on it and one of them didn't have a mark on it, what would you do with the 2 numbers then? Add them together and set them equal to 180. Those are the only 2 possibilities. They're either equal or they add up to equal 180. Subtract x from both sides. Add 10. Do yourself a favor. Put that back in the picture. This is 25, which means this angle is 40 degrees. That means all of these that I've marked are 40, and all the other ones that I hadn't marked are 140. Everybody with me? Now I'm going to slide my box. These 2 lines are parallel. This now is my transversal. And I'm going to mark all the angles that are the same as 40. What does that mean about 4y minus 100? It's equal to what? There's my other equation. So I have 4y is equal to 140, and I take 140 and I divide it by 4, and y is equal to 35. If there are 2 sets of parallel lines, there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more. There'll be 16 different angles. How many different measurements are there going to be? 2. 2 total, if there are 2 sets of parallel lines. Everybody with me? Your assignment today is out of your workbook. 3.2. Form G. And I want you to do 1 through 13, but I also want you to do 15. You can skip 14. 13 is a proof. I want everybody to try it. You cannot skip number 13. Everybody's got to try it. Attempt it.